Do you want a delicious and flavorful meal on the table in under 30 minutes? Well, then join us today as we visit Hungary to make chicken paprikash. So in a hot pan with neutral oil, add about 1/4 of a thinly sliced onion. So spread the onions around, try to get them into a single layer as much as possible. Turn the heat down to medium-low and allow them to cook for about 5 minutes. So while the onions are cooking, you can prepare the chicken. You can slice the chicken up into bite-sized pieces. We're not actually using a marinade here. We're just going to put on a bit of a spice rub that consists of mostly paprika with a little bit of chipotle powder and a bit of black pepper. So just massage that into the chicken and set it aside on the counter until you're ready to use it. There's no need to refrigerate this. You can leave it on the counter. It's only going to be sitting out for about 7 or 8 minutes. So while the onions are softening and the chicken is hanging out in the counter, let's talk about Hungary for a second. Hungary is located in Central Europe. It's surrounded by 7 countries: Slovakia, Ukraine, Romania, Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, and Austria. As you can imagine, being right in the middle of all these countries, there's a lot of influence on the cuisine. You can see we used a fair amount of paprika here in the spice rub. We will also use a lot more paprika in the sauce that we cook the chicken in. Like any cuisine, Hungarian cuisine is very varied, but one of the main spices is that paprika. You'll find paprika used in many dishes, but it may come as a surprise to some people that Hungary also is pretty well known for wine and beer. After about 5 minutes, your onions should look like this. They should start to become translucent with maybe a little browning on them. So now you can add the garlic. We used about 5 cloves of chopped garlic here, but you can use a little more or a little less depending on your taste. Stir the garlic in and let that cook for about a minute, minute and a half. After the garlic is cooked for about a minute and a half, you can add some crushed tomatoes. We used about 1/4 of a cup of crushed tomatoes here. Of course, you can use tomato sauce as well. If you would like to, you could use 2 tablespoons of just tomato paste, but that requires a little more attention to ensure that it doesn't burn. So stir the tomato sauce around and let it cook down approximately 2 minutes until it's thickened like this. When your tomato sauce is thickened, push all the onions and garlic to one side and go ahead and add your chicken in. Take your chicken pieces and put them in one layer as best as you can and then leave them alone to allow them to brown and cook on one side. After about 1 minute, you want to mix the chicken and the onions together and then spread them out in a single layer. Now at this point, you just want to let it sit for 2 minutes. You do have to be careful. Paprika does tend to burn pretty easily, so you do want to watch it and be careful that it doesn't burn. After 2 minutes, you can see we have some browning forming. Right now, this is flavor, but if we go too much further, it's going to be burnt. So now we want to add 3 tablespoons of paprika, mixed with 1 teaspoon of black pepper and 1 teaspoon of chipotle powder. Stir that in and make sure you stir constantly, because once again, that paprika will tend to burn, but you do want to make sure the spice gets toasted. So once that's cooked for another minute, it's time to add some water. We're just going to add 1 cup of plain water here. Stir that in, bring the heat back up, and bring it to a boil. Once you do get it to a boil, you want to turn the heat down to a simmer, cover it, and cook for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, remove the lid. Give the chicken a stir and allow it to continue to cook to thicken for another 3 minutes. So while your sauce is thickening, you need to temper the sour cream so you can add it to the sauce without it breaking. So a tablespoon at a time, just add a little bit of the hot sauce to the cold sour cream and stir it together. The goal here is to raise the temperature of the sour cream closer to the level of the sauce so the sour cream does not separate when it's added to the sauce. Once your sauce is thickened and your sour cream has been tempered, you can add the sour cream to the sauce, stir that in. There are many ways to serve this chicken. You can serve it with rice. Traditionally, it's served with a dumpling. And very often it's also served with a wide egg noodle, which is how we chose to serve it today. With a dollop of sour cream on top and some green onions for garnish, it is very delicious. And as promised, it's on your table in under 30 minutes. We hope you enjoyed this chicken paprikash, and if you have, please like, subscribe, and check out these other videos.